one of the things that I'm always dealing with clients is guys who meet a girl, and even though things are going sort of okay, right? They get along, they don't really argue. There's a physical attraction there. She's into them. But they get kind of stuck on that plateau where they never feel like she gets to that next level where she's chasing them, where she's just, you can just tell when a girl's really into you versus where you kind of get the impression she's settling for you. So how do you move her from that place where she's sort of into you, to that place where she's really into you? Well, it all comes down to this. How do you make her think about you non-stop? Because as Rob, Judge, and I say, one of the core components that we talk about when we teach our entire Scrambler method is that it all starts with this idea that a woman needs to be thinking about you when you're not around, right? The more time she spends thinking about you, the more she slowly falls in love with you. The thing is that most nice guys, most, guys in general, they fail to realize this. They fail to realize that a lot of the things that you're doing actually cause her to think less about you, right? Um, and you got to be conscious of this because I talk about in one of my other videos where I talk about this idea of abundance. And when you have abundance, a lot of times you do this naturally. And this is why women tend to chase guys who other women are with, right? Because these guys do a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about naturally, which gets her thinking about them. But if you're not in that position right now where you have a ton of women that you're, juggling and you do these things naturally, you got to be conscious of them because if you're not, you're going to find that a woman who was kind of into you will lose interest. So let's kind of go through some of the things you want to keep in mind. Number one is you can't come off as a sure thing, right? So I'm just going to write down no sure thing. And what do I mean by that is when you're hanging out with a woman and it's going well, right? And you both sense it's going well. And then she goes home. If she's completely sure that everything went well, that you're totally into her, there's not really much for her to anticipate. There's really not much for her to worry about. So you never want to present yourself so much that she has you, okay? And I'll give you a very small example of something that I actually did, and I didn't really do it purposefully, but my girlfriend, after we had started dating for a while, she told me that this drove her crazy, and I realized, oh wow, that I can see what she meant. So I want to explain it. So at the end of a date with her, right? I would say, had a good time, we do whatever, and I go, yeah, I'll talk to you soon, right? I'd say, I see you soon or talk to you soon. And when she explained to me, she goes, most guys at the end of the date are going, trying to plan the next date, or they're saying, when can I see you again? She goes, you would just say, see you soon. And I would always be like, well, what did that mean? Right? Does that mean he didn't have fun? Does that mean I'm not going to see him again? What does that mean? What does see you soon mean? And the idea is when she doesn't know what that means, makes her think about you nonstop, right? Because you're no longer a sure thing. Nice guys, though, unfortunately, they come across as a sure thing because they want to immediately go, hey, I have a wedding in 3 months from now. I'd like you to go with me. And now she's going, he's already thinking 3 months in the future. So anything you can do to avoid being a sure thing is definitely going to help you. All right, so let's talk about the next element. The next element of making a woman think about you nonstop is being less predictable. Because there's a lot of ways to be less predictable. Most guys think of the obvious ones, right? When you think be less predictable, the average guy is going to go, oh, let me take longer to respond to her text. And that's an example, right? So what I mean by that is I was working with a client recently, and he said that every night he was starting in kind of the beginning phase of dating this girl, and he said every night we'd have this good night text, like good night, hope your day went well, and that becomes predictable, right? And predictable gives her nothing to think about, right? So I said, well, the simplest thing you can do in that situation is occasionally not send that good night text because now she's going to wonder why that good night text didn't come. So you want to constantly be thinking, what are the expectations that she has, and how can I occasionally, not all the time, how can I occasionally break those expectations? Because when you break an expectation, all of the sudden you open up a moment of uncertainty, of confusion, and that's when a woman is thinking about you, right? If she gets that good night text from you, she can now go to bed and her mind can drift off to, whatever else is on her mind that night. But if that text didn't come, all of a sudden she's like, where is he tonight? Who's he with? And you know how we are because we're the same way. Our imagination starts going wild. Next thing you know, she's like on Facebook, checking to see if you checked in anywhere. And that is slowly convincing herself, I must really like this guy if I'm giving him this much attention. So the next way that you can make her think about you is becoming three-dimensional. Okay. And again, this is something that we really, I mean, the entire beginning of the Scrambler in phase one, it's about this, right? It's about this idea of three-dimensionalizing yourself. Because what happens is when a woman meets you, she kind of gathers who she thinks you are. Okay, maybe you're a software engineer and you have this group of friends, and she kind of puts all these pieces together, and then she kind of pigeonholes you, right? He's the nice software engineer, he hangs out with these people, and she kind of has this vision of who you are as a person. And when that vision is confirmed over and over again, it kind of, I don't want to say loses its luster, but it kind of, she kind of begins to take it for granted. So occasionally what we have our students do is you figure out, how can I introduce something that takes me from being a one-dimensional cardboard type of guy into a multi-dimensional guy. So I was working with a client recently, and he's very spiritual, right? He's a very spiritual guy, and he tends to talk a lot about that. And I said, well, that's great, but a woman's going to pigeonhole you that way as the spiritual guy, right? So you want to occasionally add a contradiction into it, right? What is a contradiction? Maybe you also tend to be ruthless with business, right? Because now there's this. Now you're no longer this one-dimensional person. And if you think about it, the most compelling characters are ones with multiple dimensions, right? The anti-hero. If you look at Star Wars, for instance, right? That's something everybody will know. The character that most people really like, if you ask anybody who is your favorite character, most people are going to say Han Solo. Han Solo was a three-dimensional character, where Luke Skywalker was pretty one-dimensional, right? He was the vanilla good guy, like no real personality, where Han Solo was a little bit good, a little bit bad, which made you more invested in him, right? And that's what a lot of guys need to do to their personality. That's one of the things that we really focus on in phase one of the Scrambler, is getting you to three-dimensionalize yourself. You want to be aware of that. You want to go, how can somebody be pigeonhole me, and how can I break that? How can I break that pigeonhole? So number 4 is less nice guy behavior, okay? And I rail against nice guy behavior constantly, but what happens is nice guys are very predictable, and they're very agreeable, and they're not into confrontation, right? And what's interesting is that drama is something women feed on, right? We all say women love drama, and in most cases, women do to some degree love drama. And the more of a nice guy you are, the less drama that you're giving her. And if a woman doesn't have any drama surrounding you, she does not think about you. She needs that drama to keep her mind thinking about you. So sometimes that drama happens naturally, right? Like I mentioned earlier in how in my video on abundance, some guys naturally create drama because they're not, maybe some guys are just, they don't have a lot. How do I say this in a nice way? They don't have their shit together, some guys. So they're naturally creating drama, right? They're canceling plans on her. They're just kind of fucking up. But that drama actually, even though she might complain about it, it's actually feeding into her thinking about that guy more. Other guys, nice guys tend to usually have their shit together in most cases, not all cases. They tend to be very grounded. But what happens when you're very grounded and you have your shit together and you're just genuinely a good person, you're not introducing that drama that a woman craves. So you want to be really conscious to go, is there any drama here? Because if there's not any drama at all, you may, as a guy, we love that, right? I hate drama in my relationships. To me, like calm, content relationship is the best. But for a woman, if things are too calm and content, she's gonna, in her mind, go, this lacks passion. So you want to go, how can I introduce a little bit of drama by being a little bit less of a nice guy? That's something that we start going into in the second and fourth phase of the Scrambler quite a bit. And the number 5 is this idea of mystery, okay? The more mystery there is, the more she's going to think about you. There's a classic. We talk about this, I think, in one of my other videos on my channel, and this idea that if you use an example here, right, of if a woman's on your Facebook page and she sees one of these 3 posts, okay, one post is you with your arm around a girl, another post is you out with a bunch of your friends, and then another post is a beer and a martini glass with the caption, cheers to a good night with good company. Which one of those is going to make her think the most about you? Which one? Number 3, the beer and the martini glass, because it is mysterious. It's vague. She's wondering, who is he with, right? Because she doesn't know. Is it I doubt it would be a guy drinking an apple martini, right? You know, it's a beer and an apple martini. She wants probably a girl, but who is this girl? Why didn't he post a picture of her? What, like, now her mind is going crazy because now there's a mystery, and mystery makes you think about somebody nonstop. And mystery is really what the Scrambler is built upon. It's built upon, it's really built upon all of these things, right? How to, because what happens is a lot of guys, when we really like a girl, we're very, very skeptical to do these things, right? Because we're like, oh, I don't want to, I want to be a sure thing. I want to let her know I like her. I don't want to be unpredictable because I don't text her bad. She might think I don't like her, and then she might text the other guy that she's talking to on Tinder, and we don't do any of this stuff. The Scrambler is almost like a roadmap. It gives you guidance on how to do it the right way because you don't want to overdo it either, right? If you're too much of too much of a mystery and you're total jerk and you're just kind of crazy and like irrationally unpredictable and she has no hope that you're ever going to be her boyfriend, she will also pull away from you, right? It's a balance, and that's what the Scrambler really is about. It's about keeping that balance, right? So to make a woman think about you nonstop, you don't want to be a short thing, right? You want to do things that leave doubt. You want to be less predictable. You want to consciously be looking for ways that you can break her expectations. If she's expecting something, occasionally you need to break that expectation. You got to learn to 3-dimensionalize yourself. Like I said, you don't want her to pigeonhole you as, oh, he's that type of guy. The more you want to be the character in a movie that has a lot of different parts to them, because then you don't really know about them, right? You don't really know, are they a good guy or are they a bad guy? What, you want that mystery there for her. Being less of a nice guy and overall just elements of mystery, right? When you introduce mystery, it will make her think about you nonstop. So